We're live.
And we're live. 9 o'clock p.m. on the 2nd. So, hello, YouTube. How many people are there? Okay, can you say something, Alfred?
Hello, test, test. This is Alfred speaking. Not using a headphone today, but should be working.
All right. Good. Let's close this. So, then we are ready. Wait a second, I forgot something. So, my cue card. Oh, yeah. Then I would say we are definitely ready.
Yay.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Ubuntu Touch Q&A, the UBports Foundation's show discussing the development of Ubuntu Touch and our community's questions. This is episode 106, streamed live on August 14th, 2021. My name is Florian and not Dalton, and joining me this week is Alfred.
Hello, everyone.
So, while Dalton takes a very deserved break from Q&A, I took the chance to jump in. It's summer, it's hot, I'm melting inside my room here, but no matter what, let's do this Q&A. So, what is this all about? Ubuntu Touch, our wonderful alternative operating system for mobile phones. If you want to see if your device is supported, go to devices.ubuntu-touch.io. If your device is not on the list, it's going to need a custom image for it. Go to the porting documentation at docs.ubports.com/porting to learn more. Good. And we kick it off in the cool old standard, because actually I didn't swap it like I should, with the news section first. So, there are new apps in the App Store. Wonderful. You can help to test, translate, and improve those apps, of course. And if you go in the Open Store at open-store.io, I hope so. Also, on a normal desktop PC, you can see what apps are there and what are the authors of those apps, how you can contribute, where you find the sources, or where you can give feedback. For example, there is the radio app by Patrick Fial. It can play internet radio streams with MediaHub, which means you can actually turn off the phone, and you can turn off the screen, not the phone, and it will still keep playing your internet radio stream. That's a very cool feature. Then there is MiiTubo, I hope I pronounced it right, by Alberto Mardigan, a native playback of internet video streams. It uses YouTube DL, and it will play video with GStreamer. That's also very exciting. Because, yeah, I mean, YouTube in the browser is just painful.
I had the chance to test it actually before the Q&A, and it worked very well, at least on the Pixel 3a. And I can only it's like you can enter the URLs, or you can search for terms and select out of the selection list that way, and it works very well. So kudos to Alberto to bring that over to Ubuntu Touch.
And while we speak, maybe you can take the next one also, because then I will just ring up our UBports public group that we are live, because still not too many people are here. So there is Scooter.
By Patrick Fial, again, shows scooter locations from bird and unlocks them with a QR code. That is handy, and especially if you're into transportation methods like that. So, I mean, I would like to see someone actually record a video using it, because it's very interesting to see how people are using Ubuntu Touch and apps like this in their daily lives, just to get across the city or town or something like that.
Yeah, those are the apps that the most of us would need as an alternative on Ubuntu Touch, so that you can use around your daily needs. Don't have to use any Android or iOS app for that. But let's see. Only time will tell. Then there is one thing that's relevant mostly for EU at the moment. That's a Corona app that actually basically reads the Corona barcodes, vaccination certificate thingy, and then can display the details from that QR code, and also displays a QR code so it can be scanned by whoever to verify that you have been vaccinated. It is quite nice because some people are already fed up with carrying paper around. Mine already got very weird and teared and so worn and torn, not weird and teared, what I'm talking about. Worn and torn. Oh, wow. And so having it on the phone is a really nice thing. All right. If you want to feature an app that you have developed, just send it in our bi-weekly forum thread for the Q&A. Where you can also post the questions, but you can also put there some information. Hey, you want to showcase my app? Yes, of course, we want to do that. Okay, next one. So, as you know, the UBports Foundation is an organization that's based on a community, and that community also gains importance when certain terms in the foundation for board members and other functions have to be renewed by elections. So there was already some information in the blog. If you go on UBports.com and enter our blog section there, there is one titled Become a Member of the UBports Foundation. And that's very relevant because while we are electing only a small amount of people in the first round, it's very important that there are many people who can actually vote, because a small group of voters always tends to be biased. So to also get everybody represented from the community who wants, please apply for a membership in the UBports Foundation's Board of Trustees. And also there is a membership committee which will review and accept or decline those applications. We actually are also seeking for people who want to assume functions like in the membership committee or on the board of directors. You have to be in compliance with our statutes, of course, but that's not a really big hurdle. So go to the blog, read through that, and if you're interested, please apply, because there are still a lot of people missing that I know of. You can be old or new, but if you think that's for you, I don't get this rhyme. No, not a good idea. Let's move on before this accelerates too much into darkness. So there is Porting Corner. So Alfred and me, of course, we are most likely playing too much with mobile devices in our free time.
Just a little bit.
Oh, just a little bit. Let's go over what's new with porting, and there are some interesting news, I think, for everyone. So one small thing, OnePlus 5 and other phones with dual SIM had a nasty bug that prevented operation with 2 SIM cards, and actually also with 1 SIM card. It was very weird. That affected all the devices Android 9 and above. If you have a dual SIM phone in mind, but you were thinking, because on some of the devices it was marked with a red cross on our devices page. If you said, oh my god, I cannot get a dual SIM phone, now this has been fixed, and it should land with every device in the next OTA update, basically. So from there on, if you're on the stable channel, you can use dual SIM as always. So, and then, while we speak about Android 9 and later, guess what? What means later? What is later than Android 9? Well, Android 10, right? So I guess everyone knows already we are doing Android 10 porting efforts since quite some time. And I give a huge shout out to our friend Nikita and fellow mega porter of Android 10, Halium 10 layer. He's the only one that really can detangle all the things that are there and get all the latest patches from upstream and from Sailfish and all around the place. He seems to never sleep. So, but please don't become a second Marius who is really never sleeping. And so there is a Halium 10 that's actually in quite a good shape. And some 2 weeks ago or so, I tweeted that there was a secret device on the way. And I want to see, because it's a Halium 10 or an Android 10 device, I want to see how far are we with our Halium 10 porting. But I didn't expect that now, 2 weeks later, actually today, I can say that I can switch over to that device as my daily driver. Yeah? Because all the things that are still missing are not relevant for me. Yeah? Okay, let's sort this out. So first of all, we wanna go over that device, let's say specs. Yeah? So this is an 8 GB device, 8 GB of RAM, and a whopping 128 GB flash storage, which is completely insane for a mobile phone in my pocket. So that cries for being used for something else. That cries to please use me as a convergence device. Unfortunately, there is no HDMI out. I have to talk with those guys. We need more HDMI out devices in the future. And the wonderful thing about this device, and I have it here, it's still a little bit sleeping. The wonderful thing is that it's kind of a retro design because it has a replaceable battery. That's also not something that you get usually these days. Yeah. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I can present you the Shift 6 MQ here. Yeah. And this is the back side and this is the front side. And of course, when you turn it on, there is a nice Ubuntu Touch here. So you can already see that there is a nice replaceable battery on the back, and you can see 2 SIM slots and an SD card slot. With the SD card slot, you can actually, and I'm just closing this device here now on the back, you can expand the storage by a further 512 GB if you like. So that thing, Alfred said, what did you say about what to do with that huge amount of storage?
What you could do, for example, is use ISO drive and stuff it with a lot of Linux ISOs that you can boot your computer on, or on your computer. This is for the distro hoppers, definitely.
Yes, exactly. You could, yeah, there is one thing that comes from Alex, but it supports DisplayPort via USB-C. And that we will see later. If that really works, we will try out. Yeah? So, of course, I made just a joke. This thing is really ready for convergence, and we shall see. So I'm totally excited about it. Calls work, Bluetooth works, Wi-Fi works, all the cameras work. What doesn't work at the moment is video recording, but that doesn't matter so much for me because I'm not so frequently recording videos on my phone. But it's not now ready for installer because you need a lot of manual work to get this image on the phone. So people who got excited, you have to wait a little bit longer. Also, because the guys from Shift are so nice, we will invite them for one of the upcoming Q&As to talk a little bit about the philosophy. Because what they really want to do is, and I'm going to be honest with you, the price is quite high for that device. But they want to create phones that will last much longer than usual phones that you have today. So if you would buy such a device, it's about sustainability and repairability of these things. You will be able to get support for repairs. You will be able to do stuff on your own. It's a little bit like with the Fairphone. It's not that much like, it doesn't look like Lego where you just make click, click, click and you can just disassemble it. So it has screws actually. Yeah? But we know from Fairphones, at least on the early stages, that having screws is sometimes nice because the contacts stay in place where they are. Yeah? And don't get loose. So it will be a thing that is repairable, and you also have to actually pay a deposit for that thing when you buy it. And should it be ever broken, you can send it back and get your refund for the deposit because they want to actually try to repair or salvage whatever is possible, and they don't want to throw it away. And that's one of the major messages that I like. Huh? So if you want to see what they have on their minds, you basically go to shiftphones.com, and it's a German vendor. So yeah, you can have support in English and in German. Let me quickly look on the, if there is a small okay, www.shiftphones.com, but you have an English version of the page. And if you go there, read through, don't go just to the shop, read through the blog and the webpage as is, because there is a lot of information about what's the philosophy of those phones. Yeah? Great. So Android 10 covered. Next thing.
Okay.
I think basically there is not much more to say than there are other Halium 10 or Android 10 devices in the pipeline, and we are working really hard to get them also installable by you. But that will take still some time. That's all what I can say for the moment. Great. Alfred, your place.
So I have been over the last 2 weeks playing around with the Pixel 3a again, trying to make it better and better and better. So there are a handful of things that I did for it. So first of all, the big one, Waydroid support is actually in the kernel now. I've tested it. It works pretty well for demonstrations, for showing people that this could be a viable option for them to make Android apps work on Ubuntu Touch and other operating systems. It works very well. There are a few issues. It's not perfect yet, but it's in early stages. So yeah, I'm very surprised by what the Waydroid developers did here. It's very great. The next one is what I've tested in between, because I got myself a set of new Bluetooth headphones, is Bluetooth calls. I've tested them and they work, which is very important to some people in the community. If you want a phone with a newer port that actually supports Bluetooth calls, Pixel 3a might be it, maybe. And two additional fixes that are queued up specifically for the Pixel 3a are, they're not merged yet, but they're queued up, they're in review, and they basically try to fix auto brightness, which used to work a few months ago. Now, since a few months, it just stopped working. I've taken a look at it and made it work again. And fixed for video recording freezing when you stop to record. So there was a little problem that most of the time, not every time, but most of the time, when you stopped video recording, it would actually freeze. It would save the file successfully, but it would freeze in the UI, and you would have to close the camera app and open it up again. And it's working very well with the patches that I've pushed. Still waiting for review, but I really hope that it would get into the next OTA. And yeah, basically that's it for the Pix 3a. Queued up for the Halium 9 endeavors and adventures that we have are, first of all, attempts to fix voice call volume and mute on Qualcomm devices. So there's currently the issue. To those that have been to the Q&A for a few years or long enough, might remember that on Halium 7.1, the Sony Xperia X and OnePlus 3, I believe, used to have this issue where voice calls would not be able to change volume. It's the same problem again, and it was the same fix almost. For the Pixel 3a, it's not enough. It's still not complete yet, but some other devices, and I would like to see some porters jump in and test those changes so that we can verify that it works for everyone. Would be nice to test those out and leave a comment on GitHub and on the Halium Hybrid Patches repository. It's in the pull requests there. And yeah, that's one patch that I made. Then the second one is because I've switched over to macOS for my daily driver needs on a laptop. I had to fix a little seg fault that happened when compiling Halium on macOS. This works now, so anybody out there who's crazy as I am running macOS as their laptop OS and trying to build Halium can now build it with a separate Python interpreter installed on the system, which is not the standard one. And yeah, that's basically it for Pixel 3a and the queued up changes to Halium 9 for now.
All right, there was just one thing for Halium 10 that I wanted to mention here that before I was so excited about the device. But yeah, we're also excited about the progress with Halium 10 because there is now a recovery. And while I said we have to wait still until this device is installable, having a Halium 10 recovery that's actually having an install script already embedded makes it possible for us to push data onto the device. So it's a little bit more complicated with Android 10 devices because they have a super partition, and the super partition is kind of a logical partition, or it's not a logical partition, but it contains all the important system and vendor partition data that was before in separate partitions. So we have to work around that to get everything into place, and it will take some time. But having recovery is already great. So yeah, if you actually, let me see if I have a banner for that. Maybe it's time here to put the contribute to Ubuntu Touch button banner. If you want to contribute, for example, for porting, we have, and all the other things, we have our documentation at docs.ubports.com. And there is also our wonderful forum. Basically, the forum is the place to go if you want to ask questions, but you think that, for example, in Telegram, they will be just get swamped away by the massive amount of nearly 4,000 people in the main group. I can understand this. Go to forums.ubports.com because there you can place your question in some categories, and or you want to say, raise the hand, I want to do this or that. Go to the forums and try to find people that can link you with the right things there. All right. So OTN 19, we have a few items there still. As I wasn't around for some Q&A, I might repeat stuff that you already know, forgive me. But actually not, because we put only our own items there that we want to contribute for OTN 19. So first item, that's also interesting. SD card management. So everybody knows basically that wonderful button for SD card. If you have a device with SD card slot, you could actually eject or format your SD card, and that wasn't working. And it wasn't working for the last 3 years. And actually, I looked into our trackers. Nobody mentioned this in any ticket. So guys, what's up with your SD cards? You're gonna never format them? Okay, this I can understand. Who is gonna format the nice data of the card? Nobody. And also ejecting the card, to be honest, it's a little bit like if you have an old device like on the BQs, you have this very inaccessible, but I don't have a tool here. You know, on the top of those BQ phones, and you can really barely see this, there's a slot that you could access from outside without opening the device, and then you can get the SD card out. So obviously nobody's ejecting SD cards. Come on guys, it's important, don't destroy your data. Anyways, thanks to Alex Martins, by the way, from Shift. He fixed that in almost no time. Yeah, that's gonna be in OTA 19 for SD card management. Though nobody has missed it, we are fixing even that things that are unseen. Yeah, great. Yeah. Good. Alfred.
Yes, so another bunch of fixes that specifically some people on the Devil channel have mentioned or noticed. We fixed 2 regressions, especially Dalton fixed the one with Census and RePowerD not working together anymore. So the issue was that when you tried to call someone or you got a call, you held your phone against your head and it would not turn off the screen anymore. That's fixed now. So that's very nice to see being fixed in quite a short amount of time. And the second one is where the camera and media stopped working for a short period of time on the Devil channel, right?
This one.
There you can see it perfectly. Yeah, perfect. That would have been a bummer if it just started to appear.
I'm not gonna show it. No, I was good. I was very prepared for that, right?
Right. The second fix was camera app and sometimes media would stop working during normal operation after an upgrade on the Devil channel or on RC, maybe, I believe. Don't quote me on it. So the thing was that something must have changed somewhere that we're not aware of, maybe upstream, maybe not. The first assumption is something upstream. But what we do now is we clear the GStreamer cache, and in case you are not willing to update right now, just clear the GStreamer registry cache in .cache / GStreamer -1.0 and get it fixed that way. If not, just upgrade to one of the coming OTAs on the Devil channel, not the stable one, but this will come in the stable update and should work well there as well. And we can see a nice Florian, 2 Florians actually.
And it's actually because it's reset, but I can go to the recording, and now it will break. I'm 100% sure it's not gonna work. Oh no, it's working.
Look at this.
Good. So basically,
off.
that's how I'm gonna test this. Yeah, just play around with your camera in various dimensions, and you will immediately see if the fix is in or not. Holy moly! We fixed all the regressions. People can use their phones again. How great is that? And also auto brightness, because to be honest, I'm a really auto brightness nerd. I cannot live without that thing.
Oh yeah.
Because either you go out on the street, your phone looks okay. This looks normal. You go out on the street, it's too dark, or it just burns off your eyes like this. Huh? And then auto brightness activates here in the power indicator, and then oh yeah, it's back to normal. So my camera getting confused. That's one of the most important features for me, besides everything else. Okay, so what is your important feature? Let's hear. And we had this query I don't think 2 years ago already. Yeah, it was before last year, yeah. Where we wanted to know what are the features that people are using most on their phones. It was no wonder that it was centric around internet and Wi-Fi and calls, of course. But some surprises were there. I think we have to make another poll soon to find out if in 2021 the importance of features has changed. What's also very important for us, and a very important feature, are our sponsors. Now we come to the nice part in the middle of the show, and it's actually really the middle. I love my timing today. Sponsors. So we want to thank our main sponsors, actually. Smooth, Waller, Pine 64, and we have a lot ongoing also in the background. We will tell you about those things later on. You also had this nice interview by our marketing manager, Jeroen Barton. Maybe you have seen this. It was in a Dutch newspaper. He wants to raise actually $1 million for the UBports Foundation. $1 million is a lot. But you can be one of those guys that make little donations that also matter. And we want to thank our sponsors that are not institutional ones, but private persons like Travis McMahon, Emolive, Rascaniers, Ensensfell, and I'm reading this as bad as Dalton, Dan Trevino, Daniel Franzak, Robin Hood, Laszlo Tamas, Ian Locke, Max Fiedler, A. Thiel, Casey Lambie, Georg Thoma, Renard Mikalev, Will Atwood, and Scott Malley. If you want to read us your name in a very bad way, just donate to us. And you can go to ubiports.com/donate, and you will find the options how you can do this. And donations in the European Union are tax deducible. So why pay the tax to the state? Give all your money to UBports and you pay no taxes anymore. That's great. Anyways, on a more serious note, and I want to point this out at this point in time, as we are investing a lot of resources and stuff into 2004 upgrade and other things that we have to do, there are other projects upcoming where we really want to go into that, like Volte support and all of these things. We really need support from the community as well as from institutional sponsors. So while we normally don't really poke anyone, I would like to poke everybody out there to say this magic question that also appears sometimes on Wikipedia, actually, so it's a shameless ripoff. What if everyone would donate $10 a month? Huh? So, for example, what if everyone from the, let's say, most active community people would donate $10 a month for the UBports Foundation, at least until 2004 upgrade is finished, which is at least in terms of timeline up to the end of the year. Yeah? Well, with that money, we could really reach some stretch goals that we want to have in 2024, and we could really make the overall, let's say, quality and manageability of that code base much better. We are sometimes on really the last few percent of what's possible for investing time-wise. So we would really need a few people and resources where we can offload. But that's currently not possible because we cannot really hire more people than we have because we don't have the money. If everybody would donate $10 a month, I can easily say we can hire 2 or 3 developers for that and just throw a bunch of work on them. So please think about that. It can be a limited donation for the next 3 or 4 months. Drop $10 in USD or Euro. I'm afraid I must say, in some countries, $10 is a little bit too less for what we would need. Yeah, so it should be at least euros or US dollars worth of 10 units of that currency. Throw that at us, and you could help us pretty much. So that was an extended call for donations. I'm normally not doing that, but yeah, this is the time. Okay, there was something that I really skipped out of that. Why ever? Alfred just reminded me politely that we still had the part what's happening for Focal 2004 as we speak.
Ooh,
Let's do
right.
it.
Yeah, so there are 3 specific things that I would like to mention. 2 of them are from Rajanan. The first one is fixing something fixing a little mismatch with systemd services requiring access to, for example, the network, which is a little odd on Android devices because you need access to a specific group. The service needs to be in a specific group. That allows the change from Rajanan allows to fix that on Android devices. So it turns out to be required for our needs. And just remind you a little bit, it's queued up for Focal. It's in review, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be merged in. The second one from Rajanan is System Image Client, getting OTA updates on your phone on Focal, and potentially switching back to Xenial again. That would be very helpful to have on a lot of, basically all devices specifically. Something that we need so that you can over-the-air update your phones. And the third one that I would like to point out is from Marius, who kindly removed some things from the PDK recipe, where the problem was that we had a few changes from Lamiri and other components overlaid on top that were not merged into main yet. They're merged now. And that allows us to build the same image from the same sources as with, for example, the Halium-based images, so that they're on the same state, they're using the same packages, not overlaying, diverging anymore. And that's very helpful for those who wonder, I tested something on the PDK, on the Platform Development Kit, and it's not working anymore. On the phone, for example, it's working differently. That should not be a problem now. And I will almost definitely, after the Q&A, merge this change because I would like to see that personally in the PDK image as well.
Great, always very great things. PDK, anything that you already, let's say, is there already some feedback? How do people like it, or what's being done with it? Do you have any, I don't know,
Well,
great insights already?
Again, last time I've announced that I plan to include a few additional features into the platform development kit that allow you to basically throw repositories to other people who are not in the core development group, so that you could easily test changes from the developers outside of the core devs, and make sure that those things work before proposing them to us, so that we can take a look at them and merge them. Those changes are not in yet, but I'm still at the planning phase on how to make this as easy as possible. Like, for example, branch selection, which branch to clone actually, because the branch that you changed might not actually be the one that you want to that you get automatically from cloning a repository. But it's definitely going to come very soon. I'm again still at the planning phase, but from what I have noticed and shown last time, just as a reminder to those who weren't there the last time, Aaron from Axolotl fame has made the gallery app. Pardon me, the gallery app work with the PDK with Ubuntu 20.04, and that's very good. And we are also playing around with Morph browser in the background, so that we can have Morph running on Ubuntu Touch based on 20.04, which is something that a lot of people are probably going to look forward to when they want to test and switch over to focal-based images.
That sounds really great. Perfect. Thank you so much for that initiative. It came all of a sudden out from nowhere, huh?
Yeah.
But I really, really like it. Good. So we are going to go over our questions for this week. Yeah, there are quite a few. We should start with the first one. Alfred, it's yours again.
Total Sonic asks, in regards to the core Notes app maintained by UBports, given that Evernote is a proprietary and commercial product, and that its free version is fairly limited to how many synced devices are allowed with it, it seems to be within the spirit of Ubuntu Touch, it would make sense to expand the options for what note syncing services can be used with the included Notes app to one that is truly free and open source software. There is already Jotted, a great working Notes app in the open store that can sync to Nextcloud. Perhaps some of its code for syncing to Nextcloud could be ported to the Notes app included with Ubuntu Touch. Obviously, a request like this is one that is at the very best answered by a community developer jumping into the task on their own volition. But just wanted to put the idea into the pipeline, as I unfortunately am not capable of contributing a PR like this myself. Well, thanks for the question. I certainly would like to see something like this with the Notes app being developed, or getting outsiders propose changes to the Notes app. And I would have liked to see something like Nextcloud note taking being integrated into the Notes app as well. It's just that the core developers and the app maintainers are pretty much doing what they're doing in their spare. Some are doing it in their spare time, and they're pretty much focused on a few tasks already that are very important. So if someone outside of the developers that are working on the core apps would like to take a look at this, I personally would like to see it. So I would be very grateful to have something like this included. Doesn't even have to be only Nextcloud support. It could be something else. It could be pluggable with whatever note-taking service that you prefer. It's probably, just as a little suggestion, if someone is up to it, they could theoretically take a look at what the Evernote support already provides and abstract that away so that there is a layer in between where you can plug different sync services into it. would be one way to do it. If you come up with a better idea than that, then please go ahead and talk to the developers or implement it and propose it.
Yeah. No, that sounds like a plan, to be honest. Now, because I'm moving into a new apartment, during the day when I remember something, I have to do this and I have to do that and I have to call someone, and I don't take a note of that is actually synced to somewhere, where on the evening I would sit in front of my PC and I have my notes there and I can see, okay, what I didn't do this day. Bad boy, you didn't call the plumber or something like this. Yeah. So I'm really missing a notes app that is syncing, and I'm not, besides that Evernote is a proprietary solution, I also really don't like how they structure the information there. So it's not the notes taking app for me to go. Maybe it's something if you write longer documents, but I want to have something very easy, but not too, so the UI should not be too complicated, but also it should just take seconds to go into a kind of a to-do list or so. I would rather love to have more like lists for taking notes, because most of my things are tasks that I have to do. And I'm not writing a novel or something like that. So Notes app is very generic. You can type a lot of text, but what I would really need is to-do lists. Huh? So yes, we know that we are lacking sync features still, and I don't want to point on the elephant in the room, but we still don't have contact sync for the address book. To Nextcloud, for example, that's also a very important thing. Especially because if you lose your phone, you want to swap it over to some other phone. Our migration tools are also not the greatest. So everything that's synced with a Nextcloud can be easily moved to another device. And yeah, so notes, voice notes, whatsoever. I just see this in the live stream. All the good ideas, keep them going. However, as always at that point, the core team is totally overloaded with stuff. So we really would need support from community to develop this. And I just looked up the Jotted app was actually done by Krille. So he is a famous app developer in the community. Maybe Krille can help with pointing out how this is done, and then it's an easy task, can be. So yes, please, let's sync notes and to-do lists with Nextcloud. Would be awesome.
Oh yeah.
Good. So while we speak about 2004 again, that's always just around these days. I don't understand what's so important about 2004. Everybody's speaking about it. Olga.bio is asking, in the Ubuntu 24 based release, is Bluetooth expected to work more reliably? Is it on a priority list at all? Well, Olga, to say just that, Bluetooth support is also depending on the device. So while 2004 can bring a newer Blues daemon and the tools are more recent than what we have in 1604, that's entirely correct. Some of the features might work more stable, some of the things might work for the first time. But if it's about reliability and stability or pairing with devices, unfortunately, we are on the low-level side of things. So the Bluetooth stack that we are using is already a backported one for the old kernels. It's already at least 4.2 or 4.9 could also work. But also that kernel is already aged. So 2004 will not magically solve Bluetooth problems. It might be solved in a better way by using a device with a newer kernel, where the drivers are in a better shape, by using the right backports and fiddling around with that. But I can just tell you from my personal experience, backporting Bluetooth is really, really painful. You need to have a lot of time, and then it can take weeks and months only for that. And I'm not looking at you, Ari. I know how painful it was so far. Yeah? Getting Bluetooth ports on all the devices for Halium 7.1.5.1 even can be really messy. However, it improved with Halium 9 devices, so everything up from Android 9 could be better, because we use a different way to link to the Bluetooth drivers. That's now going over Bluebinder. So yeah, it will improve a little bit at least, but I cannot promise anything. Bluetooth is still a very, very complex technology, separated over a huge stack of things that have to get together. And yeah, we know even from Android and maybe even from iPhone that it doesn't pair always, work always, stay connected always. And those are companies that can have millions and millions of bugs thrown at that. Okay, so let's cross the fingers for Bluetooth in 2004. Maybe it gets better. Again, a 2004 based questions. Interesting, huh? This week. So, transition to 2004 will shift and rename some components. So, for example, Ubuntu.components, we're talking about app development now. Ubuntu.components will become Lomiri.components. Opai Java wants to know if we're going to stick with those Lomiri.components as our UI toolkit, or in the future, Quick Controls 2 will be the default. If you would need a spin box, for example, there is none in Ubuntu.components or Lomiri.components. And in Quick Controls 2, you have more components or more items, widgets, you could also say. But the style doesn't fit. Yeah, of course. So Quick Controls 2 is probably the future of QML, we must admit. And we probably have to move those components over at some point in time. For the moment, it's just a matter of workload. So not magically with 2004, Quick Controls 2 will be defaulting to what you can use. You still have that around. You can even mix it, but the problem is with mixing it, some of the things like clipboard, even normal keyboard things can be a little bit complicated with Quick Controls 2. I saw this myself on teleports. We also said, okay, we can actually mix both, but it's not that easy. Yeah? Yeah. So if somebody wants to contribute for that, fixing up Quick Controls 2 with Lomiri styling and with Suro styling actually, please step up. Yeah? It's work you can do on your PC. You don't even need a phone for that.
One thing that I would like to add to that is remember that the Ubuntu components came out of the necessity of having a UI toolkit before there was actually a Quick Controls 1. So Canonical had to create something for their own use case, for the use case of making a convergent operating system, graphical widgets that you can put somewhere on the screen and let them react to events. Those things did not exist back then. There was a limited set, but by no stretch of the imagination was it as complete as the Ubuntu components. But what I would suggest with that is to join our UI and UX group on Telegram, so that you can get to talk with people who are interested in that, and maybe work out a few ideas, and maybe even start implementing a few mock-ups, how to do it, how to do the UI styling so that it matches what we expect on the system at a bigger level, not just applications, but system-wide integration, so that it looks good on everything. And that's one way to do it. I'll have to look up the UX group real quick. Where is it? So it's UBports _UX on Telegram.
I'm taking one more question now from the live chat here. Could it be useful to try to package Lomiri on desktop distros? Yes, it could be very useful, and actually we're also working at that. Or we worked on that before we decided we have to upgrade 2004 first. It will be, and there is a lot of upstreaming into Debian already happening. We will try to get the Lomiri desktop, we'll try to get Lomiri into desktop distros so you can use it as your desktop environment. That's real. However, of course, use cases on desktop are a little bit different, so the current experience might not be 100% perfect for that. Meaning that we have our indicators that have phone-specific code inside that might not render useful information on a desktop, and so on and so on. But yeah, that's a goal where the foundation says, if we're gonna manage that, we attract more attention also for the product, for the thing. And it was always the goal of Canonical to actually have one desktop environment for different devices. So there was Ubuntu already with Unity 7. On the phone it was then Unity 8, and they eventually would have delivered Unity 8 on the desktop. Just guessing. But I think the idea was really why we have to have different desktop environments at all. Let's have one that is convergent. And yeah, I know if some people hear that word convergence together with desktop, it triggers different expectations. But let's say, yes, let's go there. And well, let's see what comes. Okay, there is one more. That's also a UI related question. Interesting mixture this week. I swear we did not select anything and said we just take UI questions this week. Is this available? Asks, and I like this username. Did you ever consider adding a functionality to the swipe from the bottom up gesture on UT, like for example split screen possibility or something of sorts? Well, there is one thing that somebody told me some 2 weeks ago. So if you go for our UI and okay, let's unlock that a bit. Let's assume we are not going to the dialer, we are going to the web browser. So what is all the fuss about the buttons from Android? We have our back button in the lower up left corner. Oh, sorry, it's this way. On a phone like that, even if I'm a big guy with my thumb, I cannot reach up to that thing. So we actually, oh, come on, why am I so stupid today? Actually, not even with my index finger, I will be able to go up there. I need my second hand to support because I don't want to throw it. And some of the phones, especially heavy ones with a metal case, they feel like you would drop them immediately. It's not possible to operate it one-handed. So yes, this is kind of a deficit that we have in regards to Android, because guess why Android has the buttons on the bottom? Because I could reach them one-handed. But no, the bottom edge to swipe up, I think, is not a good place to place a back button there. Why? Because if you think, for example, about the browser again, I'm trying to showcase this maybe this way. Come on, camera, don't leave me here. If I'm going up here, there is a small bar, and that's under the control of the app. So what is now, how far you would have to swipe up until this is delivered into the app? And I must say, I would say it's competing for the idea of having the apps under full control of the bottom swipe. What you could do, of course, is you could have a gesture for triggering that back button for the app. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There is a good suggestion. We want to have a little bit of more UX refinement for having one-handed operation and quickly going back. Could be worth. Yeah. All right.
There's one last question from the forums. Provoke asks, what are your latest thoughts on moving away from clicks as the main package format to something more standardized and maybe cross-platform? I know Flatpak was discussed, but it seems complex to include and maybe not the best choice. I recently looked into app images, and with something like this, he links to app image update on GitHub. It is actually a really nice way of packaging and updating apps. So any thoughts on this? I'm aware that replacing clicks is not an immediate plan. Well, it all depends on, well, it depends on a few things. First of all, app images by themselves are just containers of applications. And what we still would need around it is a type of store, an app store experience around it, so that you can download those and update those things automatically, or on behalf of or not automatically, semi-automatically, whatever, manually, so that you can give the experience of what people expect on a smartphone. You get apps from a store, you download those, and they're installed. Also, the app images by themselves, I'm not really sure if they're going to be easily integratable into the overall permission system that we require. Rodney, for example, says in the chat, we could theoretically support app images in the future, but it's not a good way for distributing apps because they're huge. And that's very important for us because applications on a smartphone usually, for example, on Android, they get bigger and bigger and bigger because they have to include so many dependencies by themselves when they want to be not agnostic of the version of the operating system. And we have the benefit of providing a framework that is basically quote unquote stable across, or at least inside of a major release. Those APIs and ABIs don't tend to break that much, if they ever did. We included a few things, but on the other hand, they stayed very stable, and that guarantees you that applications can use the same frameworks, the libraries that are already installed on the operating system side, and minimize the size of the applications. So, there is a case to be made about what to do in the future, but certainly those things are very important to consider when we're talking about smartphones that want to update their applications over 4G, 3G, whatever, mobile data instead of Wi-Fi.
Yeah, and I also think we will not drop clicks and replace it because it's already baked in so well into the operating system. Even we are fighting now with 2004 and the app bring up because it's not easy to get all this app armor and click manifest stuff and so on working there. But in the end, adding new stuff is good. It could widen our app base. We discussed this over the last probably 5 years. Every now and then, what is with snaps and flatbacks and all the stuff, because people are hoping that this will allow to install them more software that's already there. And unfortunately, I always have to say, but you also have to think about the integration of that app into the operating system.
Yeah.
We're talking about packaging formats that would just allow to start the app, but then the troubles begin. How you integrate with the clipboard, with the camera access, with all the permission system, how you actually exchange data with other apps. You're running in a confined space. That's not as on the desktop. You cannot just say, okay, we take, an alternative camera app that is running on KDE Plasma and just put it there and everything is going to work. No, it's not going to work. So packaging format is for me one of the last discussions. We have to do other discussions in the beginning. And as Alfred says, the size of packaging increases a lot. Now we are talking about, for example, teleports, because I know this from my own development. We added now support for animated stickers, which is great, but that's 2 external libraries that have to be brought in. The next thing is calls. If you want to have voice calls, we have another 2 or 3 libraries. Then video calls on top of those 3 libraries will be another 2 or 3. So we're ending up with the main application, but then it's packaging 10 different other libraries that also have quite a size. And the problem with the shared libraries, you have to take them as they are. So you might import a 20 megabyte shared library for 3 functions, because you just cannot take less. It's just as it is. And if you put this in a lot of apps, then space users will grow and grow. So unfortunately, having that allows to bring in newer stuff and maybe more custom-made stuff. You don't have to use our APIs for the camera and for this and for that. But you have to buy a smartphone with 128 gigabytes, then you have no problem.
On the other hand, solutions like Snap and Flatpak do allow for separating those libraries into commonly shared across multiple applications, commonly shared packages that you can easily reference directly. So maybe they are a solution. Maybe they could even replace something, or at least add on to the Libertine stuff. Just thinking out loud, it could be one way to at least get those desktop applications that you want to have on your phone, but or on a convergent phone specifically. But because what's the use of a non-convergent application on a phone? But completely separate topic, but it could be theoretically used. It probably requires a lot of thinking on how to integrate those things.
As soon as we get more time, we will start pondering about it, also including background actions for apps. Alfred also has some ideas already here, which I already like. So basically, also one of the preconditions for, let's say, more flexibility with solutions that apps can consume background processing time for syncing. Let's say teleports would go online every 2 or 3 minutes to just pull the latest stuff. That would be nice.
Mhm.
So when you switch it on, you don't have to wait like, oh my God, I'm getting updates. Yeah. There is so much we can do. I cannot decide for anything. All right. Well, that's it. Sharp on the hour.
Oh, yeah.
So if there is not more. Oh,
you're muted.
I want to show one comment. Thank you. That's really good. What we really want is GIF support on teleports. I want to give you GIF support, but it's so hard. I'm crying. Because, GIFs are actually MP4 videos. So Telegram made a decision that they don't want to send really GIF data around. Yeah? GIF data would be actually easy because GIF data is just an animation format that QML supports nicely, and you can stack 200 animated GIFs on top of each other and it will still perform somehow. The problem is we have to do a video player and it needs to be embedded in your message list. And the problem with our current tooling is if you have more than one video player, it plays the same video in all of them. So if somebody sends you 3 animated GIFs, you can see 3 times the same, or it just explodes, whatever. Yeah? So playing inline videos MP4 format in a message list is currently too much for our tooling. I'm sorry. We have to find out what's going on there. It's also a cute problem because it seems that our media player stuff is okay, but they just compete for the video source. So I don't know what's going on, or some singleton site that just wants to not cooperate. Still, it's on the list. GIF support will come. When? I don't know. All right. With that being sadly in a very sad way, GIFs. I would say, thanks for listening and watching this Q&A. As usual, at the end there is again our devices.ubuntu-touch.io banner here. If you want to see if your device is supported, go to that webpage. And if it's not there, you could try to port it yourself. You need some time though and patience because porting is not like with Android ROMs. It's a little bit different, but it's very rewarding, I think. It's one of the nicest jobs that you can have on this planet. The dark smartphone, after 2 months, suddenly boots into UI and you can start using it. What a joy. You'll find us on Facebook, Twitter, PixelFed, Mastodon, LinkedIn, Instagram, Telegram, News actually, Metrics News, and you can chat with us on Metrics, on our forum and on Telegram. All of that in some way contains the word UBports. So on Facebook, it would be facebook.com/UBports, on Twitter /UBports, and so on. On Mastodon /@UBports. LinkedIn has UBports Foundation and so on. You will find us there. Telegram, our main group, is @UBports. You can join there with other 4,000 enthusiastic people and then look for some topic groups that we also have. For app development, for localization, for nearly everything there's a group. Is there a group, Cats in UBports? I think there was a cats group. I don't know.
There was, yeah.
There was. Right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to that one. The next one is in 2 weeks again. Let's see who will join then. And I wish you a nice evening or morning, wherever you are. Have a great time. Alfred, last words? Anything?
If you want to get in touch with me or follow me on Twitter, you can follow me at fredl.me. That's FREDLDOTME. I regularly update people on what I'm doing with Ubuntu Touch and Halium there. So if you want to follow the developments, just go ahead. I'm named Codemaster Fred is there. Don't worry.
Codemaster Fredders. Yes, I like this name. Yeah.
Where can people find you?
My Twitter name is at Lanux_mage. That's also a nice story, but I don't tell it now. LANUX_MAGE, like the mage or the wizard. I wanted to have something magically, but it didn't work out that well back then. And somehow Twitter handles stay with you, yeah, like your nose in your face for the rest of your life. Anyways,
Codemasters
join us
and-
on Twitter. Yeah. I'm just Flowhack, actually, I think. I didn't look there for some time. What's my own name on Twitter? Oh, yes. Flowhacker, actually. So I took the full name, not Flowhack only. But I wanted to have @Flowhack, and it was taken, and I tried 500 combinations of it. I hate this guy who took Flowhack. Who can do this? Let's have a good night, you all together, and a nice remaining weekend before the next week. See you in 2 weeks, maybe. Alfred, you probably, maybe me also, I don't know. And yeah, thanks for watching. Good night. Bye-bye.
Bye.